All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Things are moving fast right now. And honestly, it feels like everything is changing overnight. Seattle is shaking things up in a big way. 2 veteran players are reportedly on the way out, and it looks like the team is ready to move in a completely different direction. On top of that, the GM situation just added even more chaos to the mix. It's wild, like seriously wild. And when moves like this start happening around the league, it naturally raises questions about other teams too, especially the Indiana Fever, and what might happen with Kelsey Mitchell. Free agency is getting real, and some veterans might find the market a lot tougher than expected this year. Let's break it all down. Okay, here it is. A report, courtesy of Just Women's Sports. Here it says, Diggins Nneka highly likely to leave Seattle Storm during free agency. Okay. Here it says the star duo has been in Seattle the past 2 seasons. Okay. So it appears that Skylar Diggins and Nneka Ogwumike could be on their way out. Okay. They could be on their way out. I don't know who... I don't know, man. I don't know. And they're talking about rumors have it that Skylar Diggins could be headed back to the East Coast. All right, here's some intel about Seattle Storm roster movements. Skylar Diggins and Nneka Ogwumike are highly likely to depart now that Noelle Quinn is gone. Also, we might see Diggins on an Eastern Conference team for the first time in 2026. Okay, so Skylar Diggins definitely on the move here. It will be very, very interesting to see where she winds up. There's a few teams that could use her, and we don't know what's going on with Chicago at this point. It's a complete dumpster fire over there. Nobody's going to want to go over there. Hell no. Look, I don't know exactly where Skylar Diggins Smith ends up, but I'll say this. If I'm the Seattle Storm, I'm seriously thinking about turning the page. Nothing against veterans like Diggins or Nneka Ogwumike, but the league is shifting toward young talent right now, and if Seattle has a real chance to draft someone like Olivia Miles and pair her with a rising international prospect like Dominique Malonga, that's a completely different timeline for the franchise. Think about it. You'd have a dynamic young point guard running the floor with a versatile big who can grow into a star. Those are 2 cornerstone pieces you can build around for years. That's the direction I'd go if I'm Seattle. Commit to the youth movement and let those players develop together. Now, on the flip side, veterans like Diggins and Ogwumike could still be extremely valuable, but probably on contending teams. They're the type of experienced players who can step into the right roster and help push a playoff team over the top. And that's where the Indiana Fever conversation gets interesting. If Ogwumike is willing to take less money, Indiana could absolutely look at that power forward spot and make the call. But if we're talking max contract numbers, that's a completely different discussion. Indiana has to be smart about how they build this roster, or they're going to screw this whole thing up.
Okay, now this comes courtesy of Chloe Peterson, okay? Here it says the Indiana Fever players' contract status with WNBA qualifying offers, free agency beginning. All right. Now, the thing here is we are already seeing a lot of early movement. Okay, we're seeing a lot of early movement. We saw the move with Angel Reese. We see what's going on with Nneka Ogwumike and Skylar Diggins. We got GMs getting fired. So, it kind of is definitely raising the question of, what is Kelsey going to do? That's really what this comes down to. So the big question right now is simple. What is Kelsey Mitchell going to do? That's really what everyone around the Indiana Fever is watching. Is she going to accept the core designation if the team offers it? Does she want a long-term, multi-year deal? Or does she decide to test the open market and see what other teams are willing to offer? There are a lot of questions right now, and honestly, the situation could go in several different directions. When you look around the league, we're already seeing how fast things can change. Just look at what happened with Angel Reese. That move happened almost immediately once free agency activity started.
It shows you that teams aren't wasting time this year. Hell no. Front offices are making decisions quickly, and players could be moving around the league faster than people expected. Because of that, it wouldn't be shocking at all if Mitchell ends up being part of that movement. I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but it's definitely a possibility. A player of her caliber is going to have options. And when you factor in the new WNBA collective bargaining agreement, the stakes get even higher. The new CBA promises significantly bigger salaries starting with the 2026 season, which begins on May 9th. Because of that, a huge number of veteran players across the league will be hitting some form of free agency. For Indiana, the situation is even more interesting because they only have a few players currently under contract for next season. That means there are going to be a lot of roster decisions coming soon. At the end of the day, this really comes down to what Mitchell wants. Does she want to maximize her value on the open market? Is she looking for long-term security with a multi-year deal? Or do the Fever try to work out something creative to keep her in Indiana? Whatever happens, this decision is going to be one of the biggest storylines to watch. And yeah, it could change everything, man. It really could. Okay, moving right here, GM controversy. All right. This is courtesy of Alexa Philippou here. It says, breaking, Jamila Weidman is out as GM of the Washington Mystics, a source told ESPN. The move comes after she spent one season in the role and was made due to serious strategic differences. Coach Sydney Johnson will assume control of basketball operations. So now, everything is being handed over to Sydney Johnson. He's basically stepping into full control. He's the head coach, and now it looks like he's also going to be running the front office for the Washington Mystics. That means he's making the roster decisions, handling the draft strategy, and overseeing the basketball operations. That's a lot of responsibility for one person. And honestly, I don't know how I feel about that setup. I'm not sure that's always the best structure for a team. Because when you look at what Jamila Weidman did in her short time as GM, it actually wasn't bad at all. In fact, her first draft class looked really promising. She brought in players like Georgia Amore, who unfortunately hasn't played yet because of a torn ACL, but when she returns, she could easily step right in as the starting point guard. Then you also drafted Sonia Citron and Kiki Iriafen. That's a strong group of young talent for a first-year GM. Now, one move people might point to is the trade involving Brittany Sykes. Some fans might wonder if that decision played a role in all of this, especially since Sykes ended up playing really well and even got all-star recognition. But from everything being reported, it doesn't sound like Weidman was fired because she did a poor job. Hell no. The reports are saying it came down to strategic differences. So essentially, the organization decided to go all in on Sydney Johnson and his vision for the team. He's going to be the coach, the decision maker, the guy steering the entire direction of the franchise. Well, have to see how it plays out. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of putting that much power in one role. When you have someone who just delivered a strong first year as GM, it's a little surprising to see them move on so quickly. Damn. Kelsey Mitchell, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see what she decides to do. Does she want as much as she can get on the open market? Does she want a multi-year deal? Are the Indiana Fever going to try to finesse some sort of multi-year deal? I don't see how they could do it. Get down in the comments. Let me know what you guys think, man. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share the video. Thank you.